I heard his voice cut through the convivial hum of the office gala, loud enough for his sycophantic friends to guffaw, yet muffled enough for him to believe it wouldn't reach me. She's mine at the office. The ballroom shimmered with the clink of illicit champagne glasses, the brittle laughter of corporate climbers. My wife, across the room, smiled politely, oblivious, ensnared in the requisite dance of client conversation. And he, her self-appointed work husband, leaned against the bar, an obnoxious peacock preening for his colleagues, boasting like a teenager laying claim to stolen territory. I didn't flinch. I merely offered a slow, almost imperceptible nod, as if acknowledging a private understanding. His cronies smirked, mistaking my stillness for weakness. He, poor fool, had no earthly idea that I already knew. We had navigated a decade of marriage. She was the unwavering anchor of my existence, my most trusted confidant, the very sun around which my world revolved. I can still taste the memory of her laughter echoing through the small, shared space of our first apartment, the nights dissolving into cheap wine and whispered dreams. There was a sacred time when her eyes met mine with a devotion that consumed me. But people, I've come to learn, morph insidiously when ambition begins its seductive, destructive whisper. The late nights at the office became a chronic affliction. Urgent deadlines morphed into convenient alibis, and the texts, guarded with a fervent secrecy, ignited a cold, disquieting dread within my soul. God knows I battled to believe her, to dismiss the gnawing tendrils of suspicion. I fought for the illusion until one night, her phone, a glowing testament to betrayal, illuminated on the counter while she showered. His name. A message. Don't forget our little secret. Can't wait for tomorrow. The world didn't erupt in a cataclysmic roar or a dramatic clap of thunder. There was only silence. A cold, precise, surgical silence that settled deep within me, an icy weight. In that precise moment, I transcended being merely a husband. I became a strategist. From heartbroken to cold, calculating hunter, my transformation was complete. I didn't confront her, not yet. Raw emotion, I understood, was a volatile, unpredictable variable. Unassailable evidence, however, was clean, immutable. So I began my meticulous, patient collection. Emails, call logs, itemized expense reports. I retained a discreet investigator, an investment worth every single dollar. The proof materialized. Grainy photos of clandestine hotel meetings, his hand lingering, possessive, on the small of her back at corporate functions. Her eyes, once solely mine, now softened with an unfamiliar vulnerability. Betrayal, I discovered, possesses a distinct, metallic taste, coated my tongue until it hardened into an unwavering, steely resolve. He, in his boundless arrogance, considered himself a master manipulator, his boasts confined to drunken whispers, his transgressions shielded by the anonymous walls of the office. What he failed to comprehend was the delicate, precarious balance of his own meticulously constructed world. His boss, the formidable CEO, was already under the suffocating scrutiny of a quiet, relentless financial investigation. And the keynote speaker for this very evening, a prominent state senator, renowned for his unyielding stance on corporate accountability, was about to walk directly into the eye of a perfectly orchestrated storm. So I moved my pieces with quiet, devastating precision. I ensured certain damning documents found their way to the right, influential hands. I strategically leaked falsified expense reports, meticulously linking him and my wife to the blatant misuse of company funds, those innocuous little business trips artfully reclassified as elaborate corporate retreats. I arranged for the senator's chief aide to receive a carefully curated narrative, just hours before tonight's shimmering gala. By the time the first glass of champagne was poured, The fuse was already burning, its embers glowing with an unseen, inevitable fire. As the evening progressed, the triumphant swagger had entirely vanished from his face. He wasn't laughing now. He had spotted me in a quiet corner, engaged in a low, seemingly intimate conversation with the keynote speaker, my hand resting casually on the senator's shoulder, a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. I watched the color drain from his face, the muscles in his throat visibly tightening as he whispered frantically to his boss, "We have a problem." The boss frowned, utterly bewildered. "What do you mean?" I thought. Perfect. Let the panic spread like wildfire. The speeches commenced. Lights dimmed. The room hushed with anticipation. The senator ascended the stage, a figure of polished command. He spoke of unwavering integrity, of absolute accountability, of the insidious decay that begins when individuals delude themselves into believing the rules don't apply. Every word felt like a deliberate blade pressed against the very throats of my betrayers. My wife, seated uncomfortably at our table, her eyes darting nervously between me and him, knew. She knew something momentous was imminent. She simply couldn't fathom the terrifying depth of my orchestration. Then the senator paused, cleared his throat, and extended thanks to a concerned individual for bringing certain grave matters to his attention. Documents, he announced, had been rigorously reviewed. Investigations were now officially underway. Names, he added, would not yet be mentioned, but the company assuredly would face intense, uncomfortable scrutiny. The boss stiffened, a visible tremor passing through him. The work husband's hands twitched nervously on the table, his face ashen. My wife's face drained of all color. I didn't clap. I merely sipped my drink, the chilled liquid a calm counterpoint to the storm that I had unleashed. The fallout was immediate, brutal, and swift. Whispers replaced laughter. Phones buzzed with frantic, desperate calls and texts exchanged surreptitiously beneath tables. His former friends, sensing the irreversible shift in power, now actively avoided eye contact, as if they had never indulged his pathetic boasts. Within a short span, he was placed on indefinite leave, his once promising career collapsing under the crushing weight of scandal. My wife was summoned for intense questioning regarding her role in the illicit expense reports, her once spotless reputation now permanently stained by association. And me? I remained calm, unshaken. I had already initiated divorce proceedings, armed with a meticulously assembled dossier of evidence that would secure custody and a significant portion of our shared assets. She didn't even attempt to fight. She understood, with chilling clarity, that the game was irrevocably lost before it had even truly begun. The last time we spoke, she dared to ask me why. Why not just leave quietly? Why destroy everything? I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I once loved, now reduced to a figure of desperate excuses and profound shame. And I simply said, "Because you didn't just betray me, you fundamentally underestimated me." Now I reside alone, but not broken. The house is quiet, peaceful in a way that it hasn't been in years. No more secrets humming behind closed doors, no more lies lurking in the dark corners. He thought she was his at the office. She thought I'd remain oblivious, a silent fool. They were both profoundly, tragically wrong. Justice, I've learned, is not always a thunderous roar. Sometimes it is a quiet nod across a crowded room, a whispered truth delivered to the right ear, a single precise move that causes the entire board to collapse into ruin. Reflecting on that time weeks later, the silence from Vanessa had grown absolute. She eventually moved in with her sister, a testament to the shattered remains of her old life. My lawyer confirmed the strength of my evidence, the screenshots, the financial documentation. Most of our mutual friends, once privy to the full, unvarnished truth, sided with me, though a few muttered about the dramatic ambush at Christmas. I paid them no mind. Around the same time, Claire reached out. She thanked me again, confirming she had decisively broken off her engagement. Marcus, she said, had tried to spin a tale of mere emotional entanglement, but the betrayal was enough. She had dodged a bullet, and so, it seemed, had I. Marcus, according to our now shared contacts, had completely unraveled, blaming Vanessa for the wreckage of his relationship, while Vanessa, in turn, blamed him for the collapse of her marriage. They were both correct, trapped in a spiral of their own making. Months have now passed. The divorce proceeds with an almost chilling smoothness, Vanessa offering no resistance, seemingly consumed by embarrassment and a desire for it all to simply end. We are selling the apartment, splitting assets heavily in my favor, reflecting my greater financial contribution. I've found temporary refuge with my parents, a space for quiet introspection, for family dinners and game nights with my sister, allowing me to process the seismic shift in my life. A long email arrived from Vanessa some time ago. She offered a litany of apologies, claimed confusion, admitted to terrible choices, insisted there was no physical infidelity, but acknowledged my feelings of betrayal. She even ventured to ask if someday we could be friends. I didn't respond. Perhaps in some distant future my feelings will soften, but for now, I desire only her complete absence from my life. Claire and I occasionally meet for coffee. There's no romance, just two individuals who navigated a similar, treacherous storm, exchanging notes. She is healing, embarking on therapy, meticulously rebuilding her own life. She expressed her profound gratitude once more, asserting that had I remained silent, she might have married a man destined to perpetually prioritize his ex. As for me, I am navigating the aftermath, some days heavier than others. I miss the institution of marriage, but I do not mourn being married to someone who utterly disregarded my respect. My family, with their unique blend of humor, still joke that I won Christmas, and honestly, they're not wrong. That indelible dinner table scene will undoubtedly be recounted for years, a cautionary tale. My mother, with a wry smile, has already declared, next Christmas, I get to personally approve all guests. People continue to inquire if I harbor any regret about the holiday ambush. My honest answer remains a resolute no. They chose to weave a tangled web of lies and clandestine meetings. I merely chose the precise moment when that truth would gloriously unravel. If they wished to avoid embarrassment before my family, they should have refrained from engaging in embarrassing acts. Lauren's video, though not a viral sensation, has certainly circulated widely among our extended family and social circles, much to Vanessa's mortification. Marcus, I hear, has completely vanished from social media. Claire, from what I glimpse on Instagram, is unequivocally living her best life, unburdened. And my father? When the dust had settled and Vanessa had departed, he approached me, a hand resting firmly on my shoulder. "Son," he said, his voice laced with an unusual reverence. "That was, without a doubt, the most interesting Christmas we've ever had. Well done." Coming from my father, a man of few, carefully chosen words, that was nothing short of a standing ovation.